For those joining us virtually, if the link you are given is not working, you could also go to YouTube. The YouTube handle of the university is University of Benin channel. So we are live on YouTube. In case the link is not working, I understand some persons are complaining that the link they are given is not working. But you could just go to YouTube, University of Benin channel. We are live on YouTube right now. Alright, without much ado, please let's rise as we take the first stanza of the national anthem and then the first stanza of the Univen anthem since Univen is hosting the national anthem after the count of 2. 1, 2. We'd like to welcome you once again, especially this morning. Beg your pardon, just this afternoon. We're just hitting noon time. Welcome you especially once again this afternoon to the second international conference and annual general meeting of the Association of University Academic Medical Laboratory Scientists, happening here at the Akineko Auditorium, University of Benin. I thought we should just do a round of applause, welcoming ourselves to this conference. The theme of the conference is bridging the gap between the medical laboratory scientists, industry, and academia, a necessity. It's a hybrid conference. We have a lot of our participants joining us online, and we have some others joining us on site. Like I said, if the link you were given is not working, we are also live on YouTube. So rather than harping on an inactive link, you could just go to YouTube. Our YouTube handle is University of Benin channel. Once again, you are welcome. Without much ado, we'd like to welcome some very distinguished persons here in our midst this morning. First, we'd like to welcome and bring to the high table the National President of the Association of University Academic Medical Laboratory Scientists, Professor Mansi Folaromi Olani. Please make him welcome to the high table. Ushers, please help me direct Prof to his seat. Keep clapping until he gets to his seat. That's our National President. some of our participants, he referred to him as my father. When he heard he was around, he said, "That's my father." All right? The keynote speaker, none other than Dr. Ario will say, "You're welcome." Please make him welcome and let the ushers help him to the high table. You're welcome, sir. Keep clapping, keep clapping, keep clapping. Let our online audience know that we are here. It's a hybrid event, it's not a virtual event. You're welcome, sir. All right, quickly also, we'd like to bring to the table our host, the Dean School of Basic Medical Sciences, Professor Humphrey Osadolo. In the course of this program, we will be recognizing very other distinguished personalities here in our place. Once again, we apologize that we started behind the schedule. So it's the opening ceremony of the conference. We are not going to waste much of your time. But before that, permit me this morning to quickly bring to the microphone to just do a short opening remarks for us. The local organizing committee chairman of this conference, Professor B. Adejumo. Please make a welcome to the microphone for his opening remarks.
The Vice Chancellor, Professor Edubo Brett Morege, SAN, and the management team of the University of Benin. Permit me to stand on the existing protocol. It is with great pleasure and profound honor that I stand before you today as the Chairman, Local Organizing Committee, to warmly welcome every distinguished participant to the 2025 Annual Scientific Conference and General Meeting of this Association of University Academic Medical Laboratory Scientists, holding here in the historic city of Benin, within the serene and intellectually stimulating environment of the University of Benin. We are truly delighted to receive eminent scholars, researchers, laboratory professionals, technologists, students, industry partners, policy influencers, and invited guests who have gathered from institutions across Nigeria and beyond. Your presence here underscores the importance of continuous knowledge exchange, collaborative research, professional development, and innovation-driven growth in our field. This conference, scheduled for 7th to 10th of December 2025, is particularly unique and timely at a period when the global health systems are rapidly evolving and beyond, and demand for high precision diagnostic and robust scientific evidence has never been greater. Academic medical laboratory scientists stand at the front line of health transformation. Our role in research, teaching and diagnostics, biotechnology, public health surveillance, outbreak response, and quality management remains indispensable. This gathering, therefore, offers us a platform not only to reflect on current advancement, but to chart strategic pathway for future impact. The theme and sub-themes are carefully put together for this year's conference, have been designed to stimulate intellectual engagement, showcase cutting-edge research, promote technology transfer, and encourage multidisciplinary collaboration. Over the next 4 days, participants will engage in keynote lectures, research presentations, workshops, exhibitions, and constructive professional dialogue. We expect new ideas, new network, new solutions, and above all, renewed enthusiasm for excellence in academic medical laboratory science. As the host institution, the University of Benin takes great pride in welcoming this prestigious assembly, known for academic excellence, cultural richness, and groundbreaking research contributions. UNIBEN provides a fitting backdrop for a meeting of this magnitude. I must appreciate our Vice Chancellor, Principal Officers, the faculty leaderships, departmental heads, and members of staff for their support and goodwill toward the success of this event. To our sponsors, collaborators, exhibitors, students, volunteers, and every hand that has contributed in one way or the other, I say thank you. Your commitment and partnership have made this conference a reality. To all delegates, I encourage you to participate fully. Share your knowledge, ask questions, exploit opportunities, build new relationships, and enjoy the hospitality of Benin City. Beyond the intellectual engagement, I invite you to experience the vibrant culture, traditions, arts, and cuisine of this ancient kingdom, renowned for its history and creativity. Ladies and gentlemen, as we formally commence this conference, let us do so with open minds, professional camaraderie, and a shared vision for progress. May the discussions we hold here echo into improved healthcare outcomes, strengthen research capacity, and a more resilient future for medical laboratory science in Nigeria across the world. On behalf of the local organizing committee and the entire university community, I warmly welcome you once again to the 2025 AUAMLS Annual Conference. I wish you a productive session, rewarding engagement, and a memorable stay in Benin City. Thank you, and God bless.
A round of applause again to Professor Adejimo. Quickly, we'll bring the national president to give or present to us the goodwill message from the national body, Professor Olaniyan. Please a round of applause for Professor Olaniyan as he makes his way to the microphone.
To God be the glory. The Vice Chancellor, University of Benin, and the management team, the Registrar and Chief Executive Officer of the Medical Laboratory Science Council of Nigeria, the Chairman of other dignitaries, our distinguished keynote speaker, Dr. R. Royce, the Dean, School of Basic Medical Sciences, University of Benin, and his team. Our sub-team speakers, Dr. Donald Bafuni and Professor O.I. Ajari, the head of the Department of Medical Laboratory Science, University of renowned fellows, dynamic researchers, respected industry partners, ladies and gentlemen. Today we gather not merely for an annual ritual, but for a strategic convergence of minds, a powerful assembly that will shape the trajectory of medical laboratory science in Nigeria and beyond. It is with unshakable conviction, resolute purpose, and profound sense of duty that I welcome you to this second International Scientific Conference, an annual general meeting of the Association of University Academic Medical Laboratory Scientists. The University of Benin, our host, stands as a fortress of knowledge, and it is fitting that this historic conversation begins here. The team bridging the gap between the medical laboratory scientists in industry and academia, a necessity. This is not just a suggestion, nor theoretical debate, but a necessity. A survival requirement and an uncompromissible mandate for our profession. The world is evolving. Ferocious earth systems are transforming at a speed that will mercilessly leave behind any profession that fails to perfect. Medical laboratory scientists can no longer afford to remain trapped in silos. Academia without industry is powerless. So also industry without academia is directionless. Now, together they become unstoppable. This conference must before serve as a bridge, the catalyst, and the ignition point for a new era where research findings do not die in the journals, but are translated into technologies, diagnostics, pharmaceuticals, and innovation that directly impact humanity. The critical role of AUAMLS, let's remind ourselves, to build a generation of researchers whose scientific output commands global respect. To crush academic mediocrity and elevate ethical scholars. to project medical laboratory scientists into national relevance and international competitiveness, to dismantle the artificial walls between theory and practice, between laboratory benches and industrial production lines. This conference is a wake-up call, a rallying cry, and a missional verdict that the time for complacency is over. Appreciation with purpose. Let me express profound appreciation to the Vice Chancellor and the entire management team, including our own distinguished Professor H.B. Osadolo. So, for the unwavering support and institutional goodwill extended to gratitude to the organizer, that is the National Organizing Committee and the Local Organizing Committee. I want to close. As we open this landmark conference, let me charge you with this. Enough of waiting for others to define who we are. Enough of shrinking before lesser professions. Enough of limiting our own potential. From this gathering forward, AUAMLS must stand bold, confident, innovative, and uncompromising in the pursuit of academic excellence, industrial relevance, and global leadership. Let us bridge this gap. Let us break every barrier. Let us rewrite the narrative. Let us build a profession that no one can ignore. I wish you impactful deliberations and a transformative experience. Long live AUAMLS. Long live medical laboratory science professors. Long live medical laboratory science council of Nigeria. Long live Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Olanyo, National President, AUAMLS. I understand that one of our something speakers is also around with us, Professor Ajayi. Please let's make it welcome to the high table. Apologies that we didn't bring you up much earlier. While Professor Ajayi is making his way to the high table, we will be taking a citation on our keynote speaker, and that will be taken by none other than Professor AUAMLS Edo from Edo University, Zaire. Please, a round of applause for Professor AUAMLS Edo as he takes the citation on this morning's keynote speaker.
All protocol duly observed. It's a privilege to actually read an abridged citation of Dr. Raphael Osiosefo Eroense, PhD, FIBMLS, FMLS, LCN. Yes, Prof. Dr. Raphael Esiosefo Fee Erumensi is a distinguished clinical biochemist, university scholar, and seasoned medical laboratory scientist with over 5 decades of professional and academic excellence in Nigeria and the Middle East. I expect us to give him a round of applause. 5 decades. Wow. A fellow of both the Institute of Biomedical Science, London, and the Medical Laboratory Science Council of Nigeria, he is widely recognized for his expertise in clinical biochemistry, diagnostic laboratory practice, and biomedical science education. He obtained the AIBMS 1970 and FIBMS 1978 qualification in clinical biochemistry from the Institute of Biomedical Science, London, and later earned his Masters of Science degree 1983 and PhD 1991 in biochemistry and clinical biochemistry, respectively, from the University of Benin. Dr. Erumensi's professional journey includes extensive international service, notably as senior scholar, a senior scientific officer at Afaja General Hospital, Leia, Saudi Arabia, between 1992 to 1997, laboratory manager and system manager, CERNER, Patek, at the Armed Forces Hospital, Wadi Al Dawari, 1998 to 2000, and head like consultant clinical biochemist at the same institution between 2002 to 2009. His work contributed significantly to modernizing laboratory systems and strengthening diagnostic services. Upon returning to Nigeria, he joined the University of Benin as a senior lecturer in medical biochemistry and served as head of department between 2010 to 2013. He also lectured in the Department of Medical Laboratory Science and contributed to teaching across medical, dental, paramedical, and biomedical programs. Dr. Erumensi is currently an associate professor in the Department of Medical Laboratory Science, based in Dausa University, Benin City. He has served as head of department between 2018 to 2020 and is the acting dean, Faculty of Basic Medical and Health Sciences. His academic leadership has supported curriculum development, program accreditation, staff development, and quality enhancement within the faculty. A dedicated educator, Dr. Erumensi has taught a broad range of courses including clinical biochemistry, general biochemistry, immunology, analytical chemistry, laboratory management, molecular biology, and medical laboratory ethics. His teaching has shaped generations of biomedical scientists and healthcare professionals. He has supervised many undergraduate and postgraduate projects and theses to completion. He has contributed extensively to scholarly literature through publications in recognized local and international journeys. Dr. Ewensi is celebrated for his commitment to excellence, strong mentorship, and contributions to advancing medical laboratory science and clinical biochemistry in Nigeria and abroad. His career continues to inspire students, colleagues, and professionals within the biomedical and health science community. Our guest speaker is married and blessed with children. I want to introduce us this morning to a great scholar who is here to speak to this conference. Thank you very much.
Vice Chancellor, University of Benin, the Dean, Faculty of Basic Medical Science. So, the President, Academic Association of Medical Lab Science of Nigeria, and all other protocols duly observed. Today, my talk is on bridging the gap between medical lab scientists in the industry and in academia, a necessity. In the 1960s, the initial work concept of the medical lab scientists was a clinical laboratory focused workforce. The majority of our teachers were part of the clinical laboratory workforce. In fact, there was a continuity between the classroom and the bench. However, the escalation of the training of medical lab scientists to the university setting with an expanded curriculum changed the landscape. It broadened the work opportunities and provided diverse range of career paths for the healthcare industry. For graduates, that included academia, industry, in addition to the clinical laboratory workforce, among others. The Institute of Biomedical Science, UK, IBMS, United Kingdom, in recognition of the broadening job opportunities, appropriately changed its name to the current IBMS and graduates to biomedical scientists. We hope that in addition to the BMS degree, universities will include programs that will lead to the professional doctorate degree in medical lab sciences. In light of this, I will therefore crave your indulgence for a slight modification of my topic. Academia remains unchanged. However, I would like to expand the industry to embrace the medical lab scientists working in industries per se and those working in the clinical laboratories. While there is shared common foundation and competencies among medical laboratory scientists working in academia, in the clinical laboratory, and in the industry, the divergence begins as the different career paths represent different ecosystems with different rules, rewards, and challenges. The primary career goals, daily responsibilities, work environment, work pressures, reward system, and career trajectories are fundamentally different, creating a symbiotic, yes, challenging ecosystem. Unfortunately, none of the career paths is superior to each other or inferior. There's none. Whether you are in academia, you are in the clinical lab, or you are in the industry, they are all equal. There is none that is superior or inferior to the other. They each have their respective career progression trajectory. The determination of choice of a career path are generally informed by a mix of personal and external factors that align to provide long-term satisfaction, fulfillment, and financial stability. Key determinants include the individual's personal interest, passion, skills, value, personality, and practical consideration like job market and financial goals. The professional working relationship between these career paths, whether in the academia, the industry, or in the clinical lab, should ideally be that of strategic partnership built on mutual respect, clear communication, and a shared ultimate goal of improving the healthcare of the nation. Unfortunately, these divergent career paths are usually the basis for significant and often stark gaps between medical lab scientists working in these different careers. Bridging the gap, therefore, is a necessity. And it is not about making the academic professor think like the clinical lab scientist or the clinical lab scientist in the industry or vice versa. It is about creating a shared space for collaboration where the unique strengths of each are respected and leveraged. It is therefore a great privilege to speak on this topic that sits at the very heart of modern scientific progress and public health advancement. The gap between medical lab scientists in academia, in the industry, and in the clinical laboratories, and more importantly, the pathways we must build to bridge them. This topic is both timely and critically important as global health systems increasingly rely on robust diagnostic platforms, evidence-based practice, and interdisciplinary collaboration. Medical laboratory science has evolved into a powerhouse discipline, one that drives scientific discovery, fuels technological innovation, and underpins the diagnostic accuracy that healthcare system relies upon. The profession intersects with research, innovation, patient care, thereby requiring seamless communication and synergy among academic institutions, industry, and the clinical lab. Despite these shared foundations, the three major pillars of our profession, academia, industry, and the clinical lab, often operate independently, resulting in gaps that ultimately reflect diagnostic quality and that ultimately affect diagnostic quality, scientific advancement, and workforce development. These divisions slow down progress, limit innovation, and weaken our collaborative capacity to meet global health challenges. Today, I invite to explore these gaps honestly, with clarity and foresight, and to chart a new roadmap for collaboration. There should be no divergence between the three or all the sectors where medical lab scientists practice their profession. We'll start with the academia and the clinical laboratory gaps, where there is knowledge and knowledge has to be translated to bench application. Academia is the cradle of scientific knowledge, the primary driver being the advancement of fundamental knowledge. Academia trains scientists, advances theories, fuels discovery, and generates new knowledge through research. Their programs, however, must be accredited by the National University Commission and by the Medical Laboratory Science Council of Nigeria. The academia is responsible for curriculum development, standardization, scientific methodologies, and research mentorship. The clinical lab, on the other hand, functions in the front line, where speed, accuracy, and reliability determines patient outcome. Medical lab scientists are central to the provision of high-quality diagnostic services. They translate scientific knowledge into timely, accurate, and reproducible laboratory results, all of which are crucial for patient management, disease surveillance, and public health decision-making. However, clinical laboratory practice often operates under intense workload pressure, limited resources, and rapidly evolving diagnostic demands. There is persistent gaps. Academic training sometimes lag behind evolving clinical realities. For academic programs to remain relevant, they must align with the evolving realities of laboratory medicine. Students may graduate highly skilled in theory, yet inefficiently exposed to modern instrumentation, workforce automation, or emerging diagnostic technologies. The rapid expansion of molecular diagnostic, point-of-care technology, digital pathology, quality system management, and artificial intelligence demands continuous curriculum review by those in academia. The clinical laboratory often struggles to integrate new research findings because of workload pressure, limited funding, and regulatory constraints. The communication between educators and laboratory managers are usually limited, resulting in training curricula that do not fully mirror the demand of the clinical laboratories. Like I said, in the 60s, it wasn't like that. The teachers were part of the workforce of the lab. The students were there with them. The integration, the merger between the lab and the lecture theater was very, very strong. These gaps become more evident when new graduates face the shock of transitioning into high-pressure, quality-driven clinical laboratory environment. How do we bridge these gaps? There should be joint curriculum development between universities and the clinical lab. The clinical laboratory rotations that immerse students in real-world diagnostic settings should be strong. There should be continuous professional development supported by both sectors. There should be collaborative research that emerges In those days, when the lecturers were part of the workforce, you could see oddities in results that can easily be translated into research findings. But now, the lecturers are in one camp, in the university environment, the clinical laboratory where their students go for training are separate. So that connectivity is really not strong. Strengthening collaboration with industry and clinical labs will enable academia to produce graduates who are not only intellectually competent but also technologically skilled, research-oriented, and adequately prepared for contemporary laboratory challenges. When academia and clinical practice speak the same language, when academia and the clinical practice speak the same language, we produce scientists who are not only knowledgeable, but also practice-ready and innovation-driven. Now let's look at academia and the industry. There are also gaps. The academia has the research potentials, but the industry is driven by profits. Industry is the engine of innovation, transforming scientific ideas into tangible products, technologies, diagnostics, and therapeutics. Industry plays a pivotal role in developing and distributing diagnostic technologies that support laboratory operations. It is the sector responsible for instrument innovation, reagent production, software design, automation, and digital integration. But academia, where ideas originate, often find themselves isolated from this engine. Some key challenges include limited commercialization pathways for academic discoveries. You've done your research, but how do you make that research more practical and benefit the patient and make money from it? There's very few structured partnership that encourages joint research. The academia carries out its research in the university. There's no link between them and the industry. There's inadequate entrepreneurship training for young scientists. I know most universities now have entrepreneurship training in their syllabus, but is it adequate enough? Does it really prepare the students for what they are going to meet when they come out from the university environment? There is also that cultural divide. Academia focuses on knowledge generation. Industry is market-driven, profit-driven. If they cannot make profit, they are not interested. This disconnect leads to brilliant research findings remaining trapped in journals, instead of being transformed into diagnostic kits, reagents, medical devices, or data-driven technologies that can revolutionize clinical practice. To close these gaps, there should be strategic engagement between the industry and the academia in the following areas. One, strengthening university industrial contacts. Establish technology innovation hubs.
Thank you very much.
Within the academic institutions. That should be very much encouraged. Encourage co-funding of research. Train medical lab scientists in intellectual property, regulatory science, and biotechnology. You have to train them how to translate that research findings into money-yielding profits. How not just to remain in journals. 3, the industry, the clinical lab. There are also gaps between those two. One is technology-driven, and the other is implementation of this technology. Industries develop technologies, but clinical labs are the ultimate users. Unfortunately, the two do not always synchronize. Critical issues include slow adoption of new technologies in clinical lab due to cost, regulatory delays, and staff training limitations. You find that in the developed countries, because they have more money, recent current research findings are immediately practicalized. Like, for example, in Saudi Arabia, for chest pain and all those cardiac arrests, they started doing estimating troponin more than 20 years ago. That is more accurate. I doubt if we measure troponin in Nigeria. The cost might be the cost. The reason for that maybe depending on management. Inefficient feedback loops, where medical laboratory scientists rarely contribute to product testing and development. There is a mismatch between industry solutions and laboratory realities, especially in resource-limiting situations, especially in our developing countries. We still do all those old tests that are not very effective because of financial constraints. The result is technology that may be advanced but poorly integrated. There is advanced technology everywhere, but where do we apply it in low-income countries? So, in such a case, such developed technologies will be underutilized and unsuitable for our local markets. The solutions will include that industry and clinical labs should co-design diagnostic tools. There should be pilot testing within real laboratory environment before commercialization. Training programs provided by industry partners should be provided by industry partners to ensure user adoption. Data sharing collaboration should be put in place that help define diagnostic performance. When industry listens to the clinical lab and the clinical labs engage industry early, technology becomes more effective, more affordable, and more accessible. These gaps, the identity and professional mobility along these career pathways should be well identified. Across all these sectors, the medical lab scientists often experience unclear professional career progression routes, limited cross-sector mobility, under recognition of professional expertise, especially in policy and leadership space, insufficient mentoring network across academia, industry, and the clinical settings. I know in the academia there's a lot of mentorship that's going on, but does it take place in the industry? Is this so in the clinical lab? Are the students in the clinical lab just pushed aside as students and not mentored? I think we should encourage all this in the three sectors so mentioned. This fragmentation reduces the professional's influence, slows workforce development, and diminishes retention of talented scientists. We must redefine the identity of the medical laboratory scientist as a multi-dimensional professional, equally at home in research, equally at home in technology and in the industry, equally at home in diagnostics, and equally at home in policy formulation and innovation ecosystem. How do we unify this vision for the future? Achieving meaningful alignment among academia, industry, clinical laboratory practice requires a structured, institutionalized approach. To bridge these gaps, we must cultivate a new paradigm that is collaborative, interdisciplinary, and future-ready. That is collaborative, interdisciplinary, and future-ready. I propose the following key strategies. 1. Integrating training ecosystem. We should develop curricula that blend research, diagnostics, regulatory affairs, biotechnology, data science, and entrepreneurship. The curricula should include shared training platforms and internship to expose students and professionals to modern diagnostics. 2. Multi-sector research network. There should be joint research initiatives. There should be platforms where academia, industry, and the clinical laboratories jointly design and execute research that address real health challenges. 3. Cross-sector exchange programs. Short-term immersion programs where scientists rotate across sectors to deepen their understanding and broaden their skills. To also include continuous professional development driven by industry and academic experts. 4. National and regional innovation hubs. Spaces where ideas can be incubated, patented, and prototyped and commercialized. 5. There should be leadership development and policy engagement, empowering medical lab scientists to shape health policies, innovation policies, and workforce planning. When we collaborate, when we listen to one another, and when we integrate our strengths, we unleash the full power of the medical lab scientists to serve humanity. In an era characterized by rapid technological evolution and frequent health emergencies, such collaboration is no longer optional, it is imperative. A deliberate and coordinated framework will enhance the quality of diagnostic science by improving diagnostic accuracy and reliability, promote innovation, increase research output, strengthen professional identity, strengthen laboratory workforce capacity, reduce healthcare costs through efficient diagnostic pathways, and enhance patient outcome and public health impact. Conclusion. In closing, the advancement of medical lab science depends on our collaborative ability to harmonize the contribution of academia, industry, and the clinical lab practice. Each sector brings unique strengths. However, only through intentional collaboration can these strengths be transformed into a cohesive system that supports innovation, excellence, and improved patient care. Let this forum serve as a catalyst for deeper academic, industrial, and clinical partnership. Let it inspire renewed commitment to professional development, research integration, and technological progress. And let it reinforce the indispensable role of the medical lab scientists in strengthening global health system. Ladies and gentlemen, the future of our profession, and indeed the future of diagnostic, research, and biotechnology depends on our willingness to close these gaps. The challenges we face today, pandemic, antimicrobial resistance, chronic disease, emerging pathogens, do not operate in silos, neither should we as medical lab scientists. Let today mark the beginning of a new chapter, a chapter where medical lab scientists across academia, industry, and the clinical laboratory stand not apart but together. A chapter defined by collaboration, innovation, mobility, and shared purpose. A chapter where our collective expertise transforms healthcare and advances science for generations to come. Thank you very much.
I thought we should give Dr. Erose a standing ovation for that thought-provoking, very well-researched paper. Thank you so much, sir. Please, you may be seated. A round of applause for him again. It is still the second international conference and annual general meeting of the Association of University Academic Medical Laboratory Scientists happening right here at the University of Edo. We just listened to Dr. Erose, the keynote speaker, who spoke to the topic, bridging the gap between the medical laboratory scientists in industry and academia in necessity. We have a few distinguished persons here with us while Dr. Erose was speaking. We had Professor Sisi Oyinekwe from the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. Please, you're welcome. You're welcome, sir. We also have with us the Public Relations Officer of the Association, AUAMLS, Dr. Nelson Wudi. You're welcome, sir. We'll be moving straight to the soft thing. We have just one of our soft thing speakers here with us who will be speaking to the subject, tackling plagiarism and predatory journals in academic publications. Professor Olutayo Ajayi. But before he comes to the microphone, we're taking a citation, and the citation will be taken by none other than Professor O.G. Igaro of the University of Edo. Let's make Professor Igaro welcome as he reads the citation on Professor Olutayo.
the association presidents, distinguished colleagues, all protocols duly observed. We have here with us the citation of our beloved distinguished professor, Professor Olutayo Ifedara Ajayi. Can we have him in the front so that we can see him? All right. Standing before us is Professor Olutayo Ifedara Ajayi. He was born on the 17th of July, 1968, at Akure, his hometown, Ondo State. He had his primary and secondary education at St. Joseph's Catholic Primary School and Anglican Grammar School, Igbara Oke, in Ondo State of Nigeria, respectively between 1973 and 1984. Going further, proceeded to study medical laboratory science at the University of Benin Teaching Hospital between 1989 and 1991, where he obtained the associate 1997, right, 91 is here, correction, 97. He obtained the associate diploma in hematology and blood transfusion science. He later proceeded to undergraduate program where he completed the fellowship diploma in chemical pathology from the same institution in 1997. He obtained his MSc and PhD degrees in human physiology from the University of Benin in 2000 and 2009 respectively. He joined the services of the University of Benin in September 1994 as a medical laboratory scientist and later got appointed as lecturer 2 in October 2003, where he rose through the rank. He was subsequently promoted to the post of associate professor in October 2014 and became a full professor in October 2017. Professor O.I. Ajayi was appointed on contract as full professor of physiology at the University of Rwanda in July 2022 and later then became a chair of the Department of Medical Physiology of the same university. He joined the University of Global Health Equity, Butaro, Rwanda, as head of physiology in January 2025 to date. That's a notable achievement. His research interests are in circulatory system physiology and reproduction, with special bias in cellular membrane, hemorrhagic and vascular mechanisms, as well as hematological and physiological mechanisms in sickle cell diseases, cardiovascular disorders, and reproductive processes. He has published over 60 articles in well-reputed and high-impact academic journals and has presented an overwhelming number of seminar participation and presentation of papers, over 90 in local and international conferences. He has many national and international academic laurels to his research and academic activities, such as being awarded the Young Scientist Travel Award by International Society of Clinical Embryology Travel Grants Award in 2002 in Antalya, Turkey, as the Best Young Scientist Award was also given to him by the European Society of Hematology, Embryology, and also that same year in Bulgaria, he had an award issued by the Bulgarian Society of Biorheology, Vienna, Bulgaria. Also, he had the award of being the best presenter at the Nigerian Society of Hematology and Blood Transfusion first annual conference in Benin City in 2003. He also had the award of Young Scientist Travel Award issued by the European Hematology Association 9th Conference, Geneva, Switzerland, 2004. He also received a fellowship award issued by the University of California, Irvine, California, USA, 2005. Also, he had an ISBT Travel Award issued by the Regional Congress of ISBT Travel Award Fellowship. That was in Bangkok, Thailand, 2007. Travel Award winner was issued to him by the European Hematology Association 16th Congress, London, United Kingdom, in 2011. He came out as his second prize in the National University Commission organized research fair in life sciences and medicine, Mina, Niger State, 2012. Rich World Travel Award winner was awarded to him by the 6th ISTH meeting, Milwaukee, USA, June 2014, as the best senior researcher in hematology and blood transfusion. A number of awards written here are so much. I'll just do a selection of a few because I feel you can see that it's an outstanding award recipient. We'll look at one prestigious one that was issued to him as the overall best in the faculty of SBMS, that is SBMS faculty and College of Medical Sciences in 2015, being the overall best presenter in the University of the first annual research competition. Also, he was awarded the postgraduate fellowship in molecular method, Texas Southern University 2015, Indian Ocean Marine Laboratory Hematology Travel Award in Singapore 2017, Innovative Drug Discovery on Sickle Cell Reversal, Advancing Health Innovation in Africa, organized by Emory University, Atlanta, USA, at Johannesburg, South Africa in July 2019. And recently, he was awarded the Paul Dudley White International Scholar Award of American Heart Association, Basic Cardiovascular Sciences in 2023 in Boston, United States of America. He received the 10th Fund IB Award grant in 2022 and is currently running the University College London Global Engagement Research Fund, very recently 2025 till date. Ladies and gentlemen, Professor Ajayi has recently trained and graduated over 70, it's not 17, 70 MSc and 18, not 8, doctoral students in both human physiology and hematology. Also very solid culturally, is married with children. I present to you a distinguished scholar, which I can say of the rank of the greatest scientists of our time. Put your hands together.
Can I use my laptop, please?
Yes.
Sorry for the little delay in trying to get my system operational. Unfortunately, you may not be able to see what I say as I project them, but I will try as much as possible to be the teacher that I am. I will be talking on tackling plagiarism and predatory journals. This topic, I usually have my outline, but you can't have that, so we'll have to go through plagiarism and predatory journals separately. At the same time, I need to first and foremost let you know what I have here, which says sources for images and reference citation for quotations and paraphrase materials are provided in most of these slides and at the end of my PowerPoint presentation, which means I am not going to plagiarize as I'm talking to you, because the sources where I got most of the information are well referenced, but unfortunately, you can't see that. The first question here is, have you ever imagined if you can plagiarize yourself? Who can answer that? Can we plagiarize ourselves? Yes. The answer is yes. If you have done something before and you are using that material again, you need to make reference to the previous one because it was already in the public notice. So because I have presented something like this in February this year somewhere in Rwanda, I am telling you now that I am representing it though in an edited format to you in this audience. So I am not going to plagiarize myself. I have referenced myself very well. And I have a saying here that every man is a quotation from all his ancestors. As long as you make references to where things are picked from, you will not be legible for anybody to try you for plagiarizing. And so I presented this somewhere in February, and so I'm not plagiarizing myself. So the first thing is, what is plagiarism? This is the act of presenting someone's original thoughts or ideas as your own, using another exact words without proper citation. It is the act of stealing someone else's work and attempting to pass it off as your own. This can be applied to anything from 10 papers that you give to students, research ideas, publications, designs, to songs and general ideas and compositions. Research ideas are often treated among academia as a sacred thing, and that is where we pinch ourselves in the foot. When you do not feel comfortable to discuss your research ideas with others, you don't get well corrected, dot these I's, cross these T's, before you probably submit a proposal. And that is often the reason why most of us write proposals and submit, and we don't get it passed. There is a research institute in Kenya. They visited my university in Rwanda some 2 weeks ago. The success of that research institute is because they have a practical situation that every research ideas must first pass through the research editing committee. Your proposals, now that it has been registered in that particular committee, no one else can steal your ideas. Rather, people should bring their expertise to bear and correct you, and they have 95 to 96% success rate when they submit their proposals. This, I think, is something we can copy. But here in Nigeria, we have an issue. I have been a victim many years back. I was to submit a proposal for a particular training in Switzerland, which I did, and you have, because it is going through WHO, you have to submit it through Federal Ministry of Health. I did that, and I never got, but unfortunately for those of them who did that rubbish, I copied WHO headquarters first. By the time I was not invited, the man there acknowledged me that he was the one that advised me that I should go through the Ministry of Health. But 2 weeks thereafter, the thing closed, nobody called me. I went there, I couldn't see anybody in Abuja. And he told me that they sent the same thing with somebody else's name and he has cancelled it. That is Nigeria for you and I. Are we ready? So, let's try to do things rightly and let's see how we can get things done better. Plagiarism means the appropriation of another person's ideas, processes, results, or words without giving appropriate credit. So when you reproduce somebody, you appropriate another person's ideas, you need to credit the person. This is originally not my idea. I got it from somewhere. We all started from somewhere. My mother trained me how to be a man, and I'm training my children how to be men and women. So it is a continuity. Why would I not give credit to my mother for training me, for God's sake? It doesn't make sense. Understanding the definition, appropriation means using or taking something that is not yours. Plagiarism is stealing by using another person's words or ideas. And plagiarism is academic dishonest because students, scholars, and faculty are expected to do their works in their own ways. So, the terms, ideas, processes, results, or words refer to another person's intellectual property. So plagiarizers use or take intellectual property. Other thieves use or take physical property such as money, computers, or other things. But what do we have? A thief is a thief. A plagiarizer is a thief. We should know that. Whether it is money you are stealing or somebody's idea, a thief is a thief. Giving appropriate credit refers to providing the name of the original author, artist, researcher, or scholar. Providing sufficient publication data that another person can find the original source. And using quotation symbols to indicate direct quotes. Just a simple way of leading whoever is reading what you have written to know where the sources are coming from. There are standards in different organizations. University of Benin may have a standard way of writing references. ECOMA may have a different way. As long as you have ways with which you have connected with your audience on how to get the sources that you use. Many cases of plagiarism. In some Asian cultures, students are taught to memorize and copy respected authors and leaders in their society to show intelligence and good judgment in writing. What is defined as plagiarism by American standards is not defined as such by many Asian or European standards, in which taking ideas and words from different books and writers to build an answer seems to be an accepted academic practice in some places, but it is not accepted in other places. So you just need to understand what are the norms wherever you find yourself. In India, for example, undergraduates are not expected to cite sources, and it is only at the graduate level where such activity is expected, but not necessary. Plagiarism in the sciences. Number one, making up data or publication with desktop publishers. You see somebody just sit there at the convenience of his office and start formulating data, and the next thing he wants to publish it. It has happened before. I have very many experiences, even right here, but it is not time for us to start discussing such. but people get rewards for whatever they have done. Changing or misreporting data or result, falsification of result. We are all medical lab scientists. You don't have an idea of your own when you are doing a test. Let the results speak for the test. Whatever result you have, it may be an outlier, it's not your business. Put it down. Don't edit it. If you want to be so sure, you can repeat the test. If the result is giving you consistency, why not reporting it? Because you feel it's going to cause a whole lot of errors in your data. You knock it off. Wrong. That is falsification. Using the ideas or words of another person without giving appropriate credit is plagiarism. Basics for plagiarism. Lack of education at undergraduate level regarding plagiarism. Often we don't care about letting our students know this. At undergraduate level, we need to start building that culture into them. You do not plagiarize people's information without making references to them. In my university, it is one of the first year courses in the medical school. We only teach 3 medical students. The first 1 year they do humanities, and humanities plagiarism is a big module that they have to do. The demand of publication during interviews are also another cause of plagiarism. You want to be senior lecturer and you are just going for an interview. You know that they need maybe 10 publications. The next thing is you just try as much as possible to float so many write-ups so that you can meet up with what is expected of that particular position. That's plagiarism. Shortage of time, inadequate preparation, poor English, and the pressure to publish more articles than to consider quality. These are bases for plagiarism because we just want to meet up some standards. Poor quality of journals, lack of proper guidance, competition among journals to publish more articles are some of the factors of plagiarized content. We are coming back to that when we start looking at predatory journals. We will come back to that. Let's finish treating what plagiarism is all about. Then we'll talk about journal qualities and where you should put your legs. You may do it today and you are smiling. A time will come that judgment day will be there right on the table for you. And you may not be there. But we'll come back to that. Unintentional plagiarism. Paraphrasing poorly, changing a few words without changing the sentence structure of the original or changing the sentence structure, but not the words. Quoting poorly, putting quotation marks around part of the quotation but not around all of it, or putting quotation marks around a passage that is partly paraphrased and partly quoted. These are unintentional plagiarism. You have made a statement, even though you have referenced the source, but the reference has not covered the entire statement that you have made. There's a full stop somewhere and you continue elsewhere. That new word or new sentence is not ascribed to the author. You have plagiarized that particular part. These are very nitty-gritty aspects of when I supervise my students. Where your bracket should be, where the full stop should be, we need to be able to train them. Citing poorly, omitting an occasional citation or citing inaccurately. These are all unintentional plagiarism. But intentional plagiarism is passing off as one's own pre-written papers from the internet or other sources without reference. This is very common these days. You give assignment to students, they just go ahead on the internet and they just copy and come and give it to you. I call it lazy supervisors who ask undergraduate students to go and bring topics. What do they know? They need assistance, they need tutelage. That's why they are still in the undergraduate level. We are supposed to give them, guide them, and train them. But when you tell an undergraduate student, go and bring 5 topics, I will choose one. Where is he getting it from? They go and get the easy way out. Works that have almost been completed or published, they just come back, and if you are that suspecting supervisor, they just alter the data a little bit and bring it back to you. You can't do that. I was well trained because you can't alter data for my supervisors. The 3 supervisors that trained me, you cannot. And so nobody can do that for me as well. Copying an essay or article from the internet, online source, or electronic database without quoting or giving credit. Cutting and pasting from more than one source to create a paper. Changing the sentence construction or word choice with citation. Those are plagiarism of structure. Now, plagiarism of ideas. Presenting another's ideas as your own without giving the person's credit. Submitting a paper without citing or incorrectly citing another's ideas. These are all types of plagiarism. The 4th type of plagiarism is plagiarism of authorship. Turning in a replication of another's work. Submitting a paper that you got off the internet or from a friend and presenting it as your own. We have had cases of this kind of plagiarism. A lecturer will come and tell you, oh, I have this data, and we come together and discuss it. And of course, this person, or maybe because I can do statistics better than you, and you say, oh, can you help me just analyze this data, and because it's in my system, I copy this, and before you will send it out, I've sent it out. These are practical things that we have seen here in this university. Of course, they were punished for plagiarism, and the rest is history. The 5th type of plagiarism is plagiarism of self. Initially, I asked if we are aware that you can plagiarize yourself. That is the use of previous work for a separate assignment. Although these were your original words and thoughts, receiving credit for a previous assignment is considered cheating. I have used something close to this for a previous assignment, and I've told you that in case you go online tomorrow and you see, no, this man just came and repeated what he did before. I have told you now. 4 commonly cited reasons for plagiarism. The pressures of workload. The importance of developing time management skills is what solves this problem. When you are pressed to prepare your workload, in some universities like where I am, before you can be promoted, you need what we call workload portfolio, where you have every day you come to work, whatever you do must be documented. These are portfolios you carry for people to know that you are qualified to be promoted to the next. But we have a different system here. Pressures to succeed. And of course, poor understanding of the nature of plagiarism. Some people don't know, but ignorance is not an excuse when the time comes. And I will tell you consequences that some people have faced. Up to a minister of defense in Germany. I will tell you, we'll get there. Now, confusion. People are confused because they don't know whether what they are doing is right or wrong. What you need to do is ask questions. Ask your colleagues. Cultural factors. Respect for seniority. This is a very funny thing. The fact that I'm a professor and I've told my student this, that, they want to believe me. I may be wrong.
let the students have the confidence to be able to challenge what they feel is not right without punishment. In my university, you give tests after every lecture, and students claim that this particular answer that you have put is wrong. You have to either agree or disagree. If you have to disagree, prove to them that what they are saying is wrong. There was a particular question I gave and some options which I did deliberately, and a student came and said, I think this answer is wrong. I have to prove to him. Then the next thing is he opened the system, ChatGPT. I said, ChatGPT cannot teach you physiology. When I teach you physiology and I tell you this is what you think, take it from me. Now go and get so and so textbook and check. He now realized that what was in ChatGPT was wrong. He said it's so. That is what we have to do. So when we respect seniority to the level of not being able to challenge perceptions of intellectual ownership, promoting unquestioning reverence for established knowledge from the senior authority. Because you are looking at it, oh, why should I question him? He's a professor. No, you should be able to. What goes on in other walks of life? This could be you want to see how can I quickly meet up and you want to just start plagiarizing. You don't have to do that. And again, because it is the easy way out. You can just go online, pick ideas, put them together, stand in front of people, talk, and people clap for you. Without making references, people think it is your intelligence, but it's somebody else's idea you are putting on. So people believe that all those processes of going to read and prepare the time-consuming and wasting time, so they just look at this easy way out. Plagiarism in research. Plagiarism is specifically defined as a form of research misconduct. Misconduct means fabrication, falsification, and plagiarism, or any other practice that seriously deviates from practices commonly accepted in the discipline or in the academic and research communities generally in proposing, performing, reviewing, or reporting research and creative activities. So when you look at all these put together under research, you could actually be plagiarizing. Ohio University is investigating 44 possible cases of plagiarism by currently and former engineering graduate students, all of which were discovered by a former graduate student who believed that professors there have fostered a culture of cheating. They just go to the library, pick up old projects, and they just reactivate it. This is plagiarism. We need fresh ideas. Even if you need those particular projects as a step towards the future, then you need to make references to so person in this department has done this work, or we want to take it up from there. Or you can say you want to repeat it because you feel that some things were not done right. You are still within the scope, but make reference to who initially did it. Allegations of scientific misconduct in MSU. Look at that chart. 27% for falsification, 20% for fabrication, 38% for plagiarism, 10% for serious deviation from the norms, and of course, 5% for retaliation. What is that retaliation? Because you have plagiarized me, I want to plagiarize you back. And it becomes an offense for both of us. Detecting plagiarism. Readers and reviewers are needed. Check references. Google 4 to 6 ways from what you have written. Plagiarism detection software are everywhere, and I'm very sure that in the University of Edo we have the one we use. And so how is plagiarism investigated? There must be a complainant. Somebody is complaining. Either you are the owner or you have read a paper somewhere that you feel that been plagiarized elsewhere. You can write to the editor. And of course, complaints are received, they are reviewed, and panels are set up at different levels to see the classical case of plagiarism, if it is establishable or not. And when that is done, you'll be duly informed. They will even inform you that if your paper has been marked for plagiarism, and so we are now investigating. They will let you know, so that you don't just get a letter later that you are plagiarized. And of course, we have loads of anti-plagiarism tools that are available to us. Check for plagiarism through Drillibee software, plagiarism.org, and so on and so forth. Turnitin, I think that's what we have in the University of Benin. And most universities have Turnitin. Levels of plagiarism and punishment for students. Now, level 0. This I purposely brought it so we can see levels and the kind of punishment that have been used in some universities. Level 0 is saying similarities up to 10%. Minor similarities, no penalty. It is happening here. There is a level with which they will overlook it, isn't it? Oh, it's just minor. Level 1 plagiarism becomes similarities above 10% to 40%. Each student shall be asked to submit a revised script within a stipulated time period, not exceeding 6 months. But if it grows to level 2, where you have similarities above 40 to 60%, such students shall be debarred from submitting a revised script for a period of 1 year. Level 3, similarities above 60%, each student registration for that program shall be cancelled. You can imagine. Preventing plagiarism. We need to understand the difference between common knowledge and original ideas. And so we need to do the right thing by following our consciences. You will know when you are copying somebody, this is actually not my idea. And so we need to reference the source. Even in our slide or our lecture notes, if it is not your idea, why not put the reference there? Give credit, mark direct quotations, and use reference citations. Use disciplinary standards. Seek help from your mentor or your colleagues when you feel you are confused. And what are the possible consequences of plagiarism? Low scholarly reputation. I know somebody that today he cannot publish in a particular journal that I know. I'm not going to mention names, I'm not going to mention the journals, because it was found out that what the person sent was a desktop publication, beautifully written, accepted, and somebody from another country saw it, invited him to come over, all expenses paid free, come and repeat this for us, and it could not happen. And within a week they sent him back. And the journal blacklisted him. Most journals blacklisted him. But that's happened. So you have very low scholarly reputation. You never can tell where you are going tomorrow. Some of those people may be your source of references. Everyone say, oh, this guy, I think I know him. He doesn't have a reputation. That's all. Self-concept, low self-concept, low grades. Dissertation not accepted, expulsion from university and no degree, expulsion from professional organizations, loss of job, public employee disclosure, loss of research funding. You won't get it because people now know who you are. Loss of professional structure, termination of employment, legal action against the individuals committing the plagiarism. All of this has happened to a minister, which I'm going to give you the case study. They will now realize that what we sit down at the comfort of our offices, talking about thinking, instead of being in the laboratories as men lab scientists or as lecturers in basic sciences or wherever, and do real research, you are rather busy after you have studied you've read some articles, did some literature review, and you feel you could just oppose some things and get ideas. You will be caught someday, and the consequences are far-reaching. This is German defense minister accused of plagiarism in 2011. A defense minister, he had a PhD in law, but some part of it were found to have been intentionally plagiarized. He pleaded not guilty. But when there were a lot of pressures, he said he's going to drop being called a doctor temporarily, pending when he's able to prove his case. But the university found it the other way around, that he intentionally plagiarized. They withdrew the degree, and with public pressure, he lost all his appointments. Now let's see what happens in the next slide. Revocation of the degree. The University of Beirut Doctoral Commission officially rescinded Gothenburg 2006 law doctorate after finding he had seriously violated academic standards and included extensive unattributed passages in his dissertation. This they term deliberate deception. He resigned. Gothenburg initially renounced the use of his title temporarily, but then permanently, before finally resigning from all his political offices in March 2011. Legal proceedings now continue thereafter. State prosecutors, but to the government, he has now erred in the face of the law. State prosecutors launched a criminal investigation into copyright violations. The proceedings were eventually discontinued in November 2011 on the condition that Gothenburg paid 20,000 euros to a charity. The prosecutor's office concluded that he had made errors with contingent intent, but found no evidence of deliberate criminal intent or major material damage. This is now in the court of law. But professionally, institutionally, he erred. But in the court, they have absolved him, but he has to pay some fines. Subsequently, because he needed to prove that he's a doctorate material, he went back to another university. He is the only German politician in a series of similar plagiarism scandals to have successfully regained his doctorate. At least that puts a lot of things to rest. Now, what are the good scholarly practices for us to be able to tackle plagiarism? When quoting directly, keep the person's name near the quote in your notes and in your paper. Select those direct quotes that make the most impact in your paper. Too many quotes may lessen your credibility and interfere with your style. Mention the person's name either at the beginning of the quote, in the middle, or at the end. Put quotation marks around the text that you are quoting. Indicate added phrases in brackets and omitted text with ellipses. Ensure you know exact page numbers in the reference. And when quoting indirectly, keep the person's name near the text in your notes and in your paper. Rewrite the key ideas using different words and sentence structures than the original text. Mention the person's name either at the beginning of the information or in the middle or at the end. Then double check to make sure that your words and sentence structures are different than the original text. Also, you should ensure you note exact page numbers in the reference. When paraphrasing and summarizing, these are the actions during the writing process. First, write your paraphrase and summary without looking at the original text. Read it and create your own with your own words. So you rely only on your own memory. And again, check your version with the original for content, accuracy, and mistakenly borrowed phrases. Appearance on the finished product should look like this. Begin your summary with a statement giving credit to the source, according to so-so person. Or put any unique words or phrases that you cannot change or do not want to change in quotation marks. Okay, so that people know you are actually quoting the person. Ensure you note the exact page numbers in the reference. An action during the writing process, mark everything that is someone else's word with a big Q for quotes or with big quotation marks. You can use your own terminologies, just for you not to forget what you are doing. Indicate in your notes which ideas are taken from sources and which are your own insights. And of course, record all of the relevant documentation information in your notes. Ensure you note exact page numbers. I keep putting that so that your sources of reference to guide somebody to be able to see where these things were taken from. What are a few tips for good scholarly practice? Avoid copying when you take notes. Use your own words and ideas. When taking notes, make sure you write down the full reference of the source, including page numbers. Keep track of citations, full references, page numbers, and quotations. These days we have software that makes your references to be written very easily for you. Write first draft without notes, and of course, when in doubt, cite. Take advice, then these are plagiarism sources. Now, honesty is the best practice. That is what Benjamin Franklin says. Let's now talk about predatory journals. That is where you and I becomes connected, very seriously. And I'm going to sound very, very harsh on this, because I have seen what younger colleagues are doing. I have seen how researchers are beginning to sell their future without knowing what they have done. I have been a victim. I published a very important paper. My paper on malaria method, which I call Ajayi's technique, was actually published in a pediatric journal which I didn't know. Now, the journal closed down. I don't have access to it. The good thing I have was that they sent, because I paid money, they sent the book, they published it. The book is all I have. And trying to republish it in another journal has been very, very difficult. Very, very difficult. And it pains me each day I remember that, because I know what is in that paper. Predatory journals, you see them competing against each other. With this particular journal wants to outwit the next, and that is where you begin to notice there is a problem here. Publish in my journal, you see them advertising. You don't see good journals, you don't see academic journals begging you to print papers. It's not dumb. You beg them to please accept. If you feel what you have submitted, what you have done is worthy, send it to a very good journal and let them give you a critical review. I remember I always give credence to late Professor Famodu. Before I wrote my very first paper, when they sent papers to him to review from abroad, he will pass them to me. That I go and read this and make comments. I will write, I will read, I will make comments, I will read, I will make comments. Then, after he saw that I was becoming better, then he now said, that's your project in your undergraduate days. Go and write so and so topic out of it. When I sat down to write, I started remembering the comments I was making on other people's works. And that was guiding me at every step. It would be disturbing me. When I said, I'm in trouble, I'm trying not to contradict myself the way I have queried some other people's papers. He laughed. He said that was a trick. And honestly speaking, when I finished and I gave it to him, he had very little input. And he sent it to a journal in the Journal of Hypertension. It was accepted firsthand. That was the beginning. The moment I got that, I was, entitled to continue to do more. These are things we need to see how to get done. What is the predatory publishing? Predatory publishing is an exploitative, listen please, exploitative open access academic publishing business model that involves charging publication fees to authors without providing the editorial and publishing services associated with legitimate journals. Out of my over 60 publications, I think I paid charges for about 200. There are journals that you can still publish without them charging you. They make a lot of money from adverts within that particular journal. Predatory journals publish anything for a fee. Anything for a fee. And pay little to no attention to serious ethical violations, such as fabrication of data and plagiarism. They don't give a damn. As long as you submit paper in the morning, by email, by 12 o'clock, they tell you how much you are paying. By evening, they tell you it has been accepted. That's what they do. That's their business. A predatory journal is a publication that actively asks researchers for manuscripts. They actively advertise for manuscripts. There are no peer review system and no true editorial board, and are often found to publish or even worthless papers. They charge these huge publication fees. For many, career progression depends on publishing, publish or perish syndrome. So one may look for journals that promise to publish all submissions, and that is where we have issues. Journals must be specific for a particular publication type. It's not journal of health sciences, engineering, everything can be published in that same journal. No. They simply woo fake researchers. You may not be a fake researcher. You may just be an unknowing person. You are just not sensitive to what their tricks are. But try to open your eyes. Background of that, they publish or perish the life of academics. That is true. And it's only mostly here that they look at the total number of publications. But in other clients, they look at publications, they look at contributions to knowledge, they even interview you. In University of Lagos, apart from people giving you reports back on your publication, you sit and face panel on your interview before you can become a professor. You need to tell everybody your contributions in each of these papers. How did you make an input? Not put my name. I have people here that say, I put my name, I give you 50,000, and you are insulting me. You can't buy my conscience with 50,000. If you want us to do research together, we'll sit down together, planning this, that. Because of the way things are done, I resulted into animal experimentation after a while. Because I don't like to beg people. They tell you you are using my patient, so I'm going to do that. Who is your patient? UPTH owns the patient. Now, open access is a new publishing model. Not all open access are bad. Open access is a publishing model, but these predatory people have hijacked open access. Unrestricted online access to research, that is what open access was meant to be, so that many people can reach out to these journals. But why do we have open access? Because there are rapid online publication and manuscript submission. Because a lot of them still go through the detailed processes of processing manuscripts. Look at that graph. You can see the rise in the number of predatory journals. Initially, we don't have much, but you can see it from 2012, 2013, it is beginning to rise. It came down around 2014, but it has risen again. It is becoming worse by the day. And I have a practical experience among some of our colleagues. One of our colleagues, I would say, no, I would say some. Because I was involved directly with him. I will share that story now soon. Jeffrey B was the one that actually made us to know what predatory journal. He was the first to point that word predatory. He's a librarian and a professor at the Radio Library in the University of Colorado and a critic of the open access publishing movement when he started. Well known for his blog Scholarly Open Access, Monitoring Predatory Open Access Publishing. A term he coined. List of predatory publishers, he was the first to bring them out. Because as a librarian, he was able to see the processes with which they take papers and they send acceptance almost immediately. So he opened the world, our eyes into the predatory world of publishers. List of questionable open access standalone journals. And of course, there are quality, what's the quality of open access journals should be. Majority of new journals are legitimate, like I said earlier. Some of them are questionable. The questionable ones are the predatory ones. Major features of predatory journals. In business for a quick profit. Dishonest and lack transparency. Target early career researchers because they know you are the ones that want to grow. And at any cost, people want to develop. But we have to be careful. I keep saying we have to be careful because a point came in my career when I was leaving University of Rwanda for University of Global Health Equity. They had to reassess my professorship. University of Rwanda reassessed my professorship, but University of Global Health Equity is an American organization, and my papers were sent back to the United States for review. And not until they got a report back, I was not given that employment. So we need to understand that by the time they knock out most of what you claim to have made you to be who you are, you may be reduced to nothing. Many purport to be headquartered in the United States. They use those big countries to food. United Kingdom, Canada, or Australia, but really they hail from Pakistan, India, and my real country, Nigeria. I got this information, not me coining it, but they charge relatively modest fees. They offer to promote your publications when they have no intention of doing so. Many are short-lived without preservation plan. Once they make their money, you may not see them online again. They corrupt open access and give it a bad name. Possibly have increased the occurrence of research misconduct because they have encouraged people to keep doing that. And general public has access to bad science. That is what it means. Because bad science is published and people are reading it. Bogus, and that is where somebody is going to talk on AI. That is where we have issues with what we pick from AI. What is your own institutional, guidance on the use of AI? Because you pick information that AI is generating is based on what is published. And so when you have bad science in publication, AI picks those information and they use it. They have fostered the creation of predatory conferences as well. They will even host conferences in the United States and in the UK. I have attended one, I must tell you, and I met a lot of our colleagues there in the US. And when I got there and I saw the Indians that are organizing this, I couldn't see people I used to see in hematology conferences in the UK and the US, they were not there. I was now beginning to ask questions. When you raise a question, they ask somebody among you to answer. They are not giving you the connectivity that you need when you go for international conferences. I just said, I think I am in the wrong place. So since then I learned better. They do not back up their content. Implications for associating with such publishers. Papers published without peer review or proofreading, diminish the perceived value of the work, limit future rights. Articles published without complete author approval. Articles published before payment terms were either understood or completed, but then they can start negotiating with you, forcing authors into an uncomfortable position. Authors are included in their publicity without approval. They can just start making publications and put your name and say that they realize that you are a very good person, please do this for us. Open access movement, background and problem statement. Open access movement started in the 1990s. Predatory publishing started around 2010 as reported by Bill, and this list came as the first attempt of documentation. And so there has been rapid increase in the number of predatory publishers and journals, so we have to be aware. Global phenomena now, both experienced and naive, people should be aware that they are available. So why peer review is important is because subjecting the author's scholarly work and research to scrutiny of other experts in the same field to check its validity and evaluate its suitability for publication. A peer review helps the publisher decide whether a work should be accepted, but medical sciences are hard hit here. That is where we are all involved. Because they know that we have a lot of information we want to give, and so they quickly put things to us. Goals of peer review, scholarly work falls within journal scope. That is why I said a journal should be specialized. A suitable approach has been taken to address the scientific issues involved. It examines the methodology and reproducibility of the work, and the peer review will also cover ethical aspects. If you say you use laboratory animals, they ask you questions. How did you treat the animals after you have used them? They want to see whether you have used the method in handling the animals. That alone may affect the result you are sending to them, and they may not accept that particular publication. In addition, the author of the work will generally receive useful advice on how to improve their work. When you send papers out and reviewers send it back to you, that you need to do this, you need to do that, you learn from it. There was a particular paper I published in Turkish Journal of Hematology. That was where I learned the statistics of odds ratio. For the first time, they said I need to calculate odds ratio. I had to start learning how odds ratio is calculated, and I did that, sent it back. They sent it back again, that I needed to put so and so again until that paper was perfected. They did not accept it. When they eventually accepted it, I was happy because I have gone through the processes. These criteria for identifying fake journals: no editorial board, no academic expertise, insufficient information, hidden fees, name unrelated to mission or origin, poor website with dead links, unauthorized use of licensed images, republishing published papers, and location is hidden. These are things you need to watch out for. Why should you avoid publishing a predatory journal? Your guess is as good as mine. Your work will receive poor or no formal peer review. Your work could disappear or could lose access to the journal if the journal is dissolved, like my experience. It may be difficult for others to find your work, and when it is found, academics may be reluctant to cite it. Publishing a predatory journal may result in ethics, accusation, and career damage. Once manuscript is published in a predatory journal, it can be very difficult, if not impossible. I'm giving you my own experience now. To have that work removed and published elsewhere in a reputable journal. I have been a victim. Characteristics of predatory publishers: their primary goal is to make money. They do not care about the quality of the work published. They make false claims of promises. They engage in unethical business practices using ISSN. They fool people with ISSN. And this, our own colleague, is involved here. I will show you exactly what has happened. So that if people know you, if you talk to him, I'm not going to mention his name. Citing on non-existent impact factors. They will quote impact factors of 2 years ago that was never existing, because you know you can't trace it. They fail to follow accepted standards of best practices of scholarly publishing. The characteristics: they accept articles quickly with little or no peer review, notify authors about article fees only after papers are accepted, aggressively campaigning to submit articles to be submitted to their board, appointing fake academics to editorial boards. You can just see your email that they want you to be an editor. Be careful. Mimicking the name or website style of more established journals, citing fake or non-existent impact factors, useful tools to identify predatory journals. This university, appointed a committee to look out how to get predatory journals, and they were able to find out that their recent analysis publishing in such spurious journals like that most authors in predatory journals, we are the ones hosting the predatory journals, we are the ones publishing in them, are from developing countries, especially India, Nigeria, and some African and Middle East countries. In such a situation, the appointment of this committee by the Vice Chancellor was commendable. Now, what people do in modern clients is, when you are writing a proposal, if you know that you are going to publish in a journal that is very high and you charge very high fees, you put part of that publication fees as part of your proposal budget. Because it is known that in some of these journals you can pay as much as $5,000. So if that is part of the publication budget, then the work should be suitable for such high impact journals. So we have to plan it from the beginning. So these are some journal finding tools that you can use. I've made this slide available. You can go through them and see how you can use them to check if a journal you are intending to publish is actually predatory. Just put the names in there and you'll see. So how can you avoid predatory journals? Use common sense. Free email service address. When you look at the email to which that information comes to you, you know whether it's predatory. Very diverse range of subjects, they are not specific. No or incomplete instructions to authors. art yes, but you realize good journals, you have editorial review, you have editorial, others in which they want papers submitted. If you do not conform, they send it back to you. But these journals are interested in the money that you are going to pay. Just this year, this is my experience, early this year, February to be specific, I got this. And I saw this in one of our platforms actually. So I made a remark. I put a running man that I'm running away from this. And the person now picked me and started chatting with me. And he ended up telling me that I am in this for business. I tried as hard as I could to educate him that you are a medical scientist. First degree of that matter. You are floating a journal. Why? He said he's in need for business. He's going to apply for ISSN. And once he gets his ISSN, in 3 years' time, he will start getting indexing and this and that. And I said, no, things are not done this way. It was almost becoming where he wanted to start insulting me. So I thought, well, if you don't want to take my advice, so be it. But this is happening. So we need to be aware. Identify credible publishers, transparency of peer review process, and so on and so forth. Now, I'm going to share some experiences with you, like the email here. This is an email sent to somebody, and from there you can see those. If you have any kind of manuscript, you are beginning to see point number 1 that this is a predatory message. To start with, where did you get your email? They use bulk emails. The next one is submit all kind of manuscripts. The next one is they will give you a deadline. You see journals giving deadlines. They want to publish. If you do not close, if you do not come into the particular volume, you go to the next one. They don't force you to come and publish in January edition. Okay? Now they give you a deadline. The next one is look at the deadline they gave. September 10th, look at the date the message was sent, 2 weeks. That puts you on pressure. That, oh, let me quickly put my papers in here, in another 2 weeks I have the paper published. These are predatory factors. The next one is paper as an attachment as this email. A good journal will have a website. You log onto the website, you submit your details. You're not sending an email to somebody. These are things we need to be careful of. Editorial board, review board, you will never see a particular person attached. Then they say Journal of Orthopedics and Molecular Systems Research. They go together. So these are things you have to be very careful of. This is another one. Journal of Periodontology and Implantology. They give, when you want to hang a dog, you give it a big name. That's what they do. Now, look at the email. Look at the email address where it's coming from. advertise.this@gmail.com. Is that somebody's email? So be careful. There are lots of that. Look at that issue. Volume 3, issue 3, July to September 2018. ISSN, they gave it. But now look at the date. And look at the date. Look at what is happening here. Academic papers, what's that? Cosmos, journal posters, etc. Journal posters, you are now getting that published. And of course, that was sent on Thursday, the 6th of September. And it is for July to September issue. And so look at it. Last date for submission will be there. So these are all things that you can see. I have a whole lot of them. Be alert. Be on the alert when receiving an invitation to contribute to a journal. If you receive an email that sounds too good to be true, it probably is. The email is usually sent via mass emailing, and it may start like this, like all what I've shown you. Their colleagues, this, they give you that introductory rapport that will bring you closer to them, but be very careful. So features of editors of predatory journals. The publisher's owner is identified as the editor. The owner is the editor of each and every journal published by the organization. Meanwhile, they will have like series and it is published by one person. No single individual is identified as any specific journal's editor. The journal does not identify a formal editorial review board, and so on and so forth. I used to receive, they will tell you that they read your papers, so please, they want you to contribute that as a chapter in their book, and that you are entitled to less price. And I've sent you on a reply. You want my content in your book to make money, and you are telling me you will give me a discount to buy the book of my own knowledge. I said you are fake. He never answered me. Evidence exists showing that the editor and review board members do not possess academic expertise like our colleague who wants to be an editor. Expertise to reasonably qualify them to report to the publication gatekeepers in the journal's field. 2 or more journals have duplicate editorial boards. You need to avoid all of this. Borderline journals with low age indices. Invitations from conferences with overly generic names, like Global Conference on Science, Engineering, and Biotechnology. You should know that these are all fake people. Extremely large conference that combine different fields, art, science, and history. Does it go together? Responding to invitation from emails with free email account, conf2019@gmail.com. How can that one be a journal? Our conference, attending conference with relatively unknown speakers, unclear agenda, unclear peer review and anti-plagiarism policies. Conferences promising a quick turnaround time for papers. Sometimes papers are sent to me, I may be busy. I may not review those papers until another 1 month. They keep sending me reminders, but they know that you may be busy. They will tell you, if you can do this in 2 weeks, please let us know. So if you know you can do it, they will send it to you. But you don't promise would-be paper publishers that you will do it for them in 2 weeks. Because you don't know if you are actually going to go through peer review. You don't know how long it will take. Take home message. Academic writing is the need of the day. Learn the science of research and writing. Follow ethical principles and plan in advance. Do not get duped by invitations. Look out for red flags. Consult experts, librarians, and seniors. Use online resources. Personally, I chose not to be duped anymore. And of course, what about you? Maybe you are still thinking whether you should be duped or not, but I don't think anybody can dupe me again. So recommendation from all of this is, let us start a review process on our trainings across board. Thank God this is a conference of university academics who are med lab scientists. Let us begin to inculcate these ideas into our students from the undergraduate level. Let us make them realize that it doesn't pay to cheat. And I tell you something that I learned from Professor many years back, that the moment you start forging articles for publication and they are being accepted, you cannot change. You will never be a good researcher. The moment you start falsifying results to suit what you think, you will never be a good researcher. And somehow, somewhere, somebody will find you out. Let us build an excellent academic community that we all can be proud of. You can retrain yourself to achieve better academic laurels. I put this clause because sometimes we now have trainers that were not well trained. A lion begets a lion. What you got as a student is what you can only give to your student. If you have not been properly trained, you can't train any person properly. It's as good as that. So if you realize your source, where you come from, that you have some limitations, it's never too late to learn. Pick up yourself from where you find yourself and learn. At a point when I was an associate professor here, I was beginning to get PhD students to supervise. and the world was going molecular. The best I had in molecular knowledge was on cytogenetics, which I did in Turkey many years back. I told late Professor Ebebe, Prof, please, my students in PhD, I don't want them to be ahead of me in knowledge. I need this molecular knowledge. What can I do? Or what can you do for me? You know, in his usual style, well-connected man, scroll through his phone, call somebody in Texas, and the person said, your boy can come. And luckily I have like 2 or 3 years visa running. By the following 2 weeks I was in Texas to learn basic molecular techniques so that I can guide my students. And I'm happy when I'm guiding them and they are producing results the best they could. So I think we can always retrain ourselves as well. Do not limit yourself to the poor quality of your training. Pick up from there and blow yourself up for standard practice. I think something in me, something induced me that I cannot stop with AUAMLS. Many years back, sir. You are here, sir. When he was celebrating his PhD, he was already our big boss in UBT. I said, sir, you just finished PhD. He said, yes. I kept quiet. Because how will I now at that young age to say, well, AUAMLS, here I stop, not for weak batting. So if an elderly person can be challenged for more knowledge, how much less those of us who are still very young? My guy is sitting down here. He taught me hematology in final year. But I saw him struggling. He came back again to do hematology master under me. And then knowledge is revolving. And I'm always very proud to say, these are my teachers anywhere I see them. Because without them, you cannot be anything that you want to be. The choice is ours, actually. These are my selected references so that you don't say, he has been talking since morning, where is he getting all of them from? Remember, originality is nothing but judicious plagiarism. If you get sources, judicious, cite references, then you are not plagiarizing. Predators in publication, you have to be aware of them. Let us be on our guards. In Rwanda, we say Murakoze Chai, and that is how we say thank you. Thank you very much.
I think Prof deserves a round of applause. The standing ovation, quite insightful. Thank you so much, Professor Oludare Ajayi. Please, you may be seated. We'll be going into our plenary sessions, but we'll have a short break. Let's just have some aerobics for ourselves. 5 minutes, thereabouts. Just move around and say hello to somebody before we come back for our plenary session. Professor Iharu and a few others will be taking us on plenary. If you are ready for your presentation, please meet with Dr. Bright and those outside at the registration desk to give him your presentation formats. Right, if you're ready for your presentation. I also understand that some persons have not done their registration properly. Alright, so you can just use the 5 minutes to do your registration. Alright, your attendance, I beg your pardon, to do your attendance quickly. We welcome Professor Yemekwe again from the Nnamdi Azikiwe University, Oka. Thank you so much for joining us, sir. So quickly we welcome Professor Iharu for his presentation. If you are ready for yours, Dr. Bright and those is outside waiting for you.
Not even that.
What time you go say, I don't tell them, they don't say, come back.
When we reach the happy with the guys, they issue it. Exactly. Just maintain your business. That's the country for you. You stay inside, they stay outside. That's Nigeria. Don't worry. Why do people don't go abroad? But they will try this abroad. They'll try to say there's an asset. Maybe for next time, from my own subtitle, I see they say people will be 60 years, they don't get that job the first time. I don't know if you understand. And the truth is, now they talk, I just see one of them, you know. It is what it is. It is what it is. You know, that kind of entry now, if they know they go find money or go also, they won't just find out if you touch town. See how the town be.
Alright, distinguished participants, I think we can take our seats now so that we can have remember, we started way behind schedule. We need to work within time so that we can be out of this.
I don't even get to work, I watch one of my guys go take loan, only to the pay 25K for 30 months. Look on this, you see this Juma and the paper.
I also understand that you can help us with projecting the slides.
12 clubs, you can't buy from. I said, this guy in the paper.
Media people, please help us with
7. I'm not paying him.
Projecting the slides.
Before you get anything, 18 months, that's 1 year and 6 months. That guy's going to pay that 25K for 30 months. If you break the balance, that's 750. For 500K too. Even not going to look, so instead of me to pay for 30 months, let me start my own payments. Like I did what this guy did, I got indebted. So let me start paying my own back. You know, as I was paying my own back, 18 months. When I broke one day, called my sister not helped me. Now I go to the bank, go check for the smell part of the money when I don't take it. I take good care for my how we have that time. You know that kind of stuff. If you did ticket hotel, you know, you have to say, you know, I look up, how much you know, how much you talk. I get the money. That's the class now they talk. Now that's the class now they talk. We can see alloy rate and everything. If I come use the car, I don't read 2 weeks. But people with a bad mouth, Derek. Is it not be you when they use leg in the crash, if you pass out? If you drive motor down that trailer, but when I got an accident that day at Tech Police Station, in between Tech and Twitter, that place where they do the cab, like that jam. I just say that's still straight. Simple minus misjudgment. Oh, but last minute, now I remember saying, yeah, talk sin on that trailer, this trailer. Yeah, I tell you.
Please, our presenter is waiting for us. Ushers, please help us tell them outside to come in so that we can.
The next thing when I hear now, who was driving this car? Who was driving this car? They find me, the driver, the car should get me. Speed, bro. I didn't want another guy. Pictures were going to go. I mean, pictures. What do you have to know? Listen to pictures. I control the accident, but I control them. You go blow it, but I control them. First thing will come my mind and say, head on, I'm not work for you. It don't be. I don't see say it don't be. Bro, this life, if you make person sabi, calm yourself down. Yeah, I don't even understand. Like, you don't say this thing and that die, but just calm. Don't calm, friend. That calmness will help you pass panic. You understand what I'm saying? That calmness will help you pass panic. Remember when that time we did secondary school? You know, so we don't really know say today and Friday, one rat was happening. Even who you they fear, Only like this when you go do inside your park, you go observe the guy. You see say this one believe I don't feel up. You know bring out to you, you will not run like that. You understand what I'm saying? So that ability to just calm yourself, you know. In any situation, it helps. You know, so it's crazy, bro. It's crazy, man. Now that's 650. I'll be 700, 800 when I take back car. That time. You know what this is the government thing. It's harder. Things are getting harder. Take it to
Yes, no. That one we keep at that
time, direct Belgium pencil light or 2.2 was 800, 1.2. 800, 1.2. Yeah, how much did I buy my car? I bought my car 650, 700. How did they not give you? They don't give you dead Audi. Dead Audi, they don't give you for that price.
Distinguished participants, please, we need us to resettle so that we can quickly do the plenary and attend to other activities that we have lined up for today.
Which day you already have prayer close for work? As we just move, when the lectures of people from my office here, as they finish the lecture, now I come out. Now I just match up with them. Come over and go. As we just enter, guess what I see? They say I'm under. Where they walk out, they go down in other tele.
Quickly before we take the plenary, we'll move straight to the presentation of awards for our distinguished speaker, the keynote speaker, and the last speaker, Professor Aisha. And that will be taken by none other than the Dean School of Basic Medical Sciences, Professor Humphrey Osaka. Please let's make him welcome to the microphone as we have the presentation of awards to our distinguished speakers.
See that's crazy thing. The person they die for like joke. We don't touch us more than boy, you know it. The person will just take ground. We just do like
Thank you. All participants, you are all welcome. Please, protocol, tell those outside to come in.
Oh, okay, like I don't want to go there. If they finally match up, who wins? Check out from that angle.
President's announcement will start.
Let me tell you what, my mother told me that
he said the guy go carry am well. I know the shit. My mother dey talk. He said the guy go.
She did break. You know the help out couldn't break.
He said I just couldn't talk the truth. I said for the guy.
You can't cry out for that one.
He said the guy go carry am well.
I don't know how they do it. What they just not saying, they like go tell people. How do you understand? They like go to announce to people. But you know like that.
Hello.
Who give for the matter?
Dear colleagues, distinguished participants, it's time for us to recognize those and give honor to whom honor is due. We have been here this morning listening to experts discussing and giving us different information on how medical laboratory scientists should perform either in the university or in the laboratory or even in the industry, either as lecturer, an administrator, or bench lab scientist, or even an industrialist. So now it is my honor to present this award to the keynote speaker. This is an award of excellence presented to the speaker in honor of his exceptional commitment and impactful contribution to the Association of University Academic Medical Lab Scientists, presented to Dr. Raphael Joseph Edo. Congratulations. The next awardee, Professor Fedaya Ajayi. Dr. Fedaya Ajayi is a distinguished scholar of international recruits. I want to appreciate you for what you have done today. So on behalf of the Association of Academic Medical Scientists in our university, I want to say thank you for what you have done for us today. This is a distinguished service award. We also want to encourage you to do more because you have been doing this for a long time now. Thank you and God bless you. Thanks. So on that note, I want to hand over the microphone to the MC. So we can continue from there.
Thank you, Dean. Please, we need the projection now. Media people, please kindly project the slides so we can start the presentations. Each presentation is 7 minutes. Please take notes. Media, courage.
Good afternoon, dear colleagues. We have a very short presentation here today, and it has to do with enhancing research capacity using training, mentorship, and grantmanship integrated model. So I want to run through a kind of topic that is induce or motivate our interest in research. And this is the outline. So the goal of this presentation is to help us have greater light and understanding about the model that will be effective in building our research capacity through ensuring research-ready workforce that can both implement research outcomes and contribute to further research activity. And I started with trying to remind us of what research actually is. You know, one of the most interesting definitions of research is that research is what you are doing when you don't know what you are doing. And it agrees with what Professor Ajayi was saying. When people already curated data before they start the research, they just do one or two things and they get the data because they have mathematically calculated the data without even doing the research. If you already know what you want to do before you start doing, that's not research. So you can start with not knowing what to do and eventually move on, generate your data, and let the data speak for itself. And that's what research actually is. Why do people do research? People do research for several reasons. I've listed 12 here. But one of the things is that jobs and opportunities, some jobs and opportunities are attached to research. For example, postdoc is attached to research. It's a research-based opportunity. If you are not strong in research, if your research was not strong at the PhD level, you can't even get a my advice now is, I don't know if the deans of Nigerian universities can come together, talk to NGOs, and let us have centers where PhD holders from Nigerian university can do postdoc locally. Because some of the PhD holders we have in Nigeria, they are not their PhD topic and content, and their person, the receiver of the PhD, is not even sufficient to win a foreign postdoc. Go and try. One of our colleagues here was sincere enough. He said, my research, he used speaking, he said, sir, I've sent him several links to do postdoc. If we apply, they will not give him. He said, I've come to realize that my research is not strong, rich. He has a PhD already. He has evaluated himself from his PhD thesis to how his supervisor supervised him and everything he had as a PhD holder. He said his research is not strong enough. He did not acquire enough research base and skills while doing his PhD. And when he has finished, he has not had the opportunity to upgrade so that he can compete. Because when postdoc opportunities are advertised, people from China, Pakistan, India, all of them, they apply. You yourself are not from Nigeria, you apply. You cannot go and tell them. We did not have facility when I was training as a PhD student. Therefore, please take me. They will leave somebody that is highly competitive, that is using molecular from China. They will come and take me that is doing evaluation of serum level of one can lipostasis. How do they take you? Your PhD is so competitive. So people do research. One of the good things that research can give you is that gives you further job opportunities. You know, people do research to build their credibility. People do research to be visible. People do research to be known. People do research to enhance their institutional profile. So these are some of the reasons why people do research. If you look at research, how research brings institutional and personal recognition, this is not too clear, but if you look at the global ranking of universities, there are 3 arrows that are connected with research. One is recognition, another one is ranking, another one is reward. If you are a strong, solid researcher, these 3 things will follow you. You will have recognition, you will have ranking, you will have reward. If you are a researcher, you got a PhD, you are a lecturer, you do not find those 3 arrows in your life, please wake up from sleep. Wake up from sleep. No matter how long it is you got your PhD, no matter who was your PhD supervisor, if you do not have these 3 things in your rank, in your profile, yet your recognition, your ranking and your reward is so impactful on your life, you need to wake up. And your institution will also be disconnected. If you have these 3 arrows in your life, it will affect your institution. Institutions are not human beings that research. It is human beings that are staff of the institution that carry out research. And that now impact on what? On the university ranking or the institution's ranking. It was long ago that even came top. But much later, all we see as the best ranking university, what they use? Webometric presence of that name in attachment to research activity, to internationalization activity. That's what they use. And we see Ibadan has always been there. In Africa, South Africa has always been there. South Africa universities. Look at top known researchers, top 10 researchers in Nigeria and their institution. Oyemusi Ureji, that man is a psychiatrist, a doctor who specializes in psychiatry. University of Ibadan, solid man. Our network took me to his office. He said, I want to show you the lifestyle of the top researcher in Nigeria. And we got there, the man got to the opposite. He does not do politics, he does not do teaching, he does not do this. So, don't give me patience. He has one focus. He's just there. Yeah, the next one is the man I normally going to know when I go to program. Gani Iwomo. Alani protested in Edo University. They used politics to know. He came top. Gani Iwomo, solid researcher. Solid as in solid. No, look at their names. And the institution, the first time we even came here among the 10 was Okolofa's effort in the ranking. And others. We talk about Ebenezer Farubi, wizard, giant, University of Ibadan. Top men. You know? So, these are people already know. It's not you that knew them. It's not your Nigeria that knew them. Their agencies came from abroad based on profile. And they are released. If you look at this young man, my friend, the president addition board chairman in the University of Ibadan right now. Solid guy. This guy is the, as we speak, is the top in the University of Ibadan. You know how many citations he has? Look at his citation on Google Scholar alone. 16,872 times he has been cited. Some professors don't have up to 100 citations on Google Scholar. But they are already professors by the local ranking. No, Nigerian professorship is locally aligned with regulations of the university. So, this was one of the things that almost finished me. I have become a professor before I repented. And later we say, Govin, take your work to the top journalists. They will use that deep word. Top journalists and do one hand like this. Professor John America. Say, take your work to the top journalists. I say, sir, I need to be promoted. If I'm not promoted, it will not be good. I deviated from the White House. I have to follow it again. 25% local, 50% national information. Now the professor Jai on the show. Sorry, sir. So what happened is the university of the senior professors that we met on that, they use that formula and they kept it. 75% of your article will be within the Nigerian geography. How? They say 55 will be national, 25 will be local. Is that not 75? I mean, the only time that the world will see you is 25%. But if the local and national are also visible globally, the world can still see you. But it's not the same. If it's not Panadol, it cannot be like Panadol. But this young man, he struggled to now follow Uniben promotion. By the time he came from abroad, he now saw that he needed to be doing promotion. He now started quickly doing some kwashi article to local and national so that he would not miss promotion. Otherwise, his entire publication was already fitted to international. So it was internationally heavy and locally drought. But he still quickly met up. Do you know that he has FAS? As long as it is, Professor Edo was awarded Fellow of the Academy of Science about 3 years ago as eminent as Professor Edo. But this young man, because of the thinking of his publication and activity, he got FAS very young, Fellow of the Academy of Science. Look at his fellowship. This is not the reason why children started giving him appointment. But if that is the reason, it's even worth it. You can't have a champion and not recognize, you need to recognize the mediocres. This guy is a champion. So I work one-on-one with him. Open-minded. We do some work together anyway. So that's how research can give to you. How do you bring elements of research capacity? How do you build it? Right, I want to let you know that medical lab, AUAMLS, beyond conference, we need to sit down and come to drawing board. You saw what Professor Jai presented. How do you train people to review? Okay, how many new graduates have been trained the way someone to train you how to review paper, how to contribute to peer review and everything? People are trained. People are not trained. The day I saw a publication of a PhD that they sent it to me to review in this university of the person is a colleague, medical lab, they sent to me to review. I went. See, you know he has a PhD. It's better than when she says she has a PhD. There are two different things. You know he has a PhD. that bends neck if there is no justification for it. Now, what do we do in mentorship? As medical lab scientists, please, I want to advocate for mentorship training and grantmanship. We cannot succeed as medical lab scientists with this level of salary. Friends, it will not get better. It's not a bad prophecy because the country's politics is not academic. ASU is fighting. If you retire with this current salary, your children will ask you questions. Well, how do you get upgraded with recognition and reward? It is good research. Good research will make you embark on some things, resist some things without salary involvement. The laptop I'm using today, when I bought it in the UK, it was about £900, which is about 1.8 million. It's off now. Nobody should come and call for the laptop. It's already old. Don't come and steal it. It's old. But the important thing is that that laptop is not salary. It's research. That laptop was quoted in the research grants, and I took it. The day I bought it, the Igbo man that sold it said, I thought nobody would buy this laptop because when I saw it, I said nobody will buy it because it's tech and expensive. But I come for it. He said, where do you work? I said, Unipen. Look at me like those lecturers that collect bribe from students. I've not collected one naira. I've sponsored students' projects, fed them since I've been a lecturer. So, what am I saying? You need certain things to earn certain things. And one of the things is that research. Don't forget, your work as a lecturer is partly academic, classroom work, and partly research. I knew it from when I was a grad assistant. I will not be on the corridor talking to students aimlessly. Neither will I see myself as a complete giant in the classroom. As much as my students will clap for me after I've taught, when I teach, I leave it there. I enter my research. Because I'm not a teacher. Teachers in secondary school don't do research. But lecturers are teachers that do research. So you need to bring all of this together to build your research capacity. I speak particularly to our training program, postdoctoral fellowship, skills and techniques acquisition, high performance training, grantmanship, and postgraduate and professional training, PhD. After your PhD, what can you say today that you know as a result of your PhD? When you did your PhD, can you say, I learned mass spectrometry. If any job is advertised in America, I can compete with it because I learned mass spectrometry. Or you want to say, I am very good in animal research. Some of our PhD students are using animal to work. If you take them to animal lab, they'll be shaking, their hand will be shaking. But it's animal you used to work. You didn't acquire this, you acquire the degree. PhD with skills is what is involved. PhD without skills, keys. If you kill to have a PhD without skills. That's why I don't care. If you like, call me Godwin. If you like, call me Naro. I never told anybody in my life, say, why you call me Godwin? Why you don't call me Dr. Godwin? After my PhD. For example, you don't imagine your work, I say, Godwin, I don't look at it. But there are not many people in that department that you call them Peter, I say, respect and you call it again. It's not by force. It's substance that makes the difference, not enforcing. Maybe our organa or I will say, how you did. I want to hold myself to say, but I like to put doctor or professor. It has no rubbish. It's your performance as an achievement that makes the difference, not what you force people to call you. So please, let's change our orientation. Mentoring and capacity development is so great, so important. But the major problem is that we don't find mentors and we don't find mentees. There's scarcity of mentors and there's scarcity of what? Mentees. In the old time, when the Professor Sadolon, Professor Hussein, Professor Jai, there were mentors and mentees. Because things that will make people proud were not there. Today, somebody will tell you that What is it? I can sit down in my office and do 5 publications in a week. I don't need anybody to mentor me, to gather data, plus and minus, use statistics to square and so and publish. Because they don't respect senior to say, let me mentor you. They feel that nothing to be mentored for. But don't drink that bad wagon. There is always something to be mentored for. The last conference we did, DRIP, Directorate of Research and Innovation. After that conference, I was baffled at what happened. I did not want to say it. A medical doctor who was a former commissioner for health took my number nicodemously and traced me to my office. I was surprised and she introduced herself. I said, what are you looking for here? He said, I just want to learn. Remove all those things back and just teach me. I was surprised. Why? She needed something. And by the grace of God, God gave it to her, not me. I don't have anything. God gave what he wanted to her. Once he get that, God gave what he sought to her. I just mentioned one. But why is mentorship a problem in medical lab? Because you feel we're classmates, they're taller than her, you taught him. It's not we that have this kind of degree. They are the foundation of this one, these are the babies of that one. It cannot work. It cannot work. Even Jesus, the Lord and Maker, needed something and he collected from the fish. Even Jesus, he wanted something. He said, who has anything here? A little boy had it. He just collected from the little boy. What a cow! And you cannot make, but you teach me this thing well, okay? Let me just run. Now, in mentorship, we need to know that there are strategies that can be used to build upcoming researchers, leaders of tomorrow. This question you are seeing on this board was asked by Professor Salami. Professor Salami was preparing for a presentation, and he called me and said, I'm sending you about 10 questions, answer it and send it back to me. I'm preparing for a presentation. The former vice chancellor of the University of Benin. And this was one of the questions. So what strategy do you have to mentor and develop leaders of tomorrow in research and development at the university? And she wanted to appoint a director of research and they want to interview that person. And she sent me this question. Before that time, somebody from medical lab had going to lie against me. But this question cancelled the lie. I don't want to go into those stories. But however, we look at the answer I gave. I said, without the framework of the that if you see the slide, you have it. I just gave this answer and a couple of other answers, and she was happy and she went ahead and did her appointment. Why? She was looking at a very vital point of mentoring researchers and young scientists, young academics when they come on the job. See, today we have new staff. Thanks to Professor Sadolo, we have 7 staff in medical department. Professor Sadolo made efforts and that appointment came. See, that has to be together for me. Good effort, 7 staff coming to medical lab alone under his leadership. See, he said, if he does not do a research training to train these young lecturers, this young lecturer can work in this university for 10 years and they will not do informal training. That's the truth. Training is important, but who will bear the cat? And people grow through the rank and file in assumption, and they have no laws in them. That's why Professor Ajayi said, even the person that starts training has skipped some trainings in the past. He has no role in himself. The trainer was not well trained. Well, they will grow through the rank and file in assumption. So we need this training framework in medical lab. I don't talk in any LLS platform. You hardly see my comments in any national body medical lab. Know why? When I see the comments of something. Too much assumption in medical lab. People that graduated yesterday, they are dreaming big things and they'll be correcting seniors. I don't look at it, I don't grow and learn and deepen yourself. Someone who build a skyscraper will dig a very deep foundation. Because it's a big foundation that will carry the skyscraper. So above the hard and solid foundation, you are emerging. Emerge from where? If you jump up, you come down. If you grow up, you stay up. So these are some of the things that I'm advancing to us. Let us find time to look at fund attraction, collaborations, promotion. I have trained more outsiders to get NRL grants than medical lab science. It's only 1 or 2 persons that have called me and said, please look at my grant. I want to send it for this thing, for NRL. I received it recently. 3 years, 4 years after we won the NRL to the University of Edo, it was outside that people from medicine, geography, that were coming and they were getting the grant. Why will you have a Joseph and allow yourself to face 7 years of famine when the Joseph can interpret your vision and you will save yourself from famine? If you don't use your Joseph, face the famine. That's the equation of life. So this is the template and model. Training is important, grant matching is important, mentorship is important, research capacity needs to be built in MLS. And when we do this, even ordinary documentation, how to write document, how to write a convincing letter, we need training in them. So there's somebody was just telling me that the nursing has gotten their consultancy in the hospital approved. That is consultancy, a nurse will become a consultant in a teaching hospital. Approved. But so many of us have been, we cripple the dream of medical lab. In fact, I think I'm exiting myself from some of the platform. But instead I don't keep quiet. You know why? Elders will be propelling some things. Let us do this thing, this way. Children will be bombarding from, they'll be shooting from all angles. And if you wait, what do they have? Aided PhD. If they pass you through the real PhD, you can't survive. The aided, let me just go. Malaria parasite in farmers that were eating cassava. Let me just go. Is that PhD? Malaria parasite in farmers that were eating cassava. And that PhD is what you are using to misbehave. So that's why I said PhD is not enough, sir. There's a book called PhD is not enough. So people need to buy that book and read it. PhD is not enough. A guide for survival is science. If you see people that survive in science, you know that PhD of monkey ate 5 bananas, I collected the blood, I checked the DNA, it was high or it was low. That's not enough. Go and look at this book. If you look at this book, you will wake up. Yeah. You will wake up from slumber and retrain yourself, commit yourself to training. We have had resounding specialized trainings like Josephina Research in the university here. We brought the flight from Ibadan. Not one medical lab scientist, not one has come and said, please, I want to come and learn how to use Josephina to do research. Not one. Why? Not many people from other departments that have been trained to do it. Training opportunities are available. Avail yourself of it. Please, it is not for anything, it's for your own sake. Look at this program we went to last 3 months in August. Like what Pastor Jai was saying. In this program, we're looking at collaborative research. Somebody from this program, a white lady from Illinois, the Emory University, he said, can I come and visit people in Africa? I said, to do what? He said, just come and I've been doing public health, but they have told me that my public health is not sufficient. I need to do global health. Answer, the reality of public health and global health was resounding. I said, what do you mean by it? He said, you want to come and do his public health in a globally aligned environment, like Niger Delta, like Benin Bronze. I said, okay, we can host you. We can give you facility. He said, I'm ready to my school, I'll fund myself. Then I'll bring some stuff for you. go to do your work, then I will claim it as a training. I will hand it to my public head. My public head will become a global head. I'll become a global head expert. Knowledge is never ending. If it's some of us who say, in America, I can't come to Africa. The only reason why she has not come now is she's trying to organize it. It will take time to do things. But even myself, I say, they cannot go for your head. My problem. But I'm talking to Moses. I don't know how we can host it safely. That's collaboration. She's not coming to show up. She knows. If you know what she knows, you'll be proud. But what she's coming to do, she wants to come and do something here. She wants to count it as part of training. Then we will not see training. It's not the way forward. So please, as I'm running up now, you have enhancement of research capacity using training, mentorship, and grantmanship model. Draw your experience from in-house knowledge like institutional infrastructure enhancement. Form research groups. Form research labs. One microscope is the commencement of a lab. If you don't have a place to put it in your office first. Begin to domesticate the future you want to have. You would, for example, that lady that says she's coming, said, do you have a facility? I did not think to say yes or no. You know why? I don't need to write to VC to say, VC, where will a lady coming from America work in university? I can only write to VC, say, VC, a stranger is coming or a foreigner is coming, please give us the guideline to receive a foreigner. But the foreigner is going to work in my lab. We have got a lab as a research group. We have a lab. We can force a foreigner to work there. If we earn the money, not that lab, how do we receive that person? That's why I said, beyond chalk work, your mandate as a lecturer is beyond speaking English in classroom. Me, inside that classroom, I will speak English. I will give them overwhelming slides. If I want students to see my slide, they shout, look at them there. Once when they see my slide, I think I'll put video in the slide. I'll put animation. I say, yeah, everything I'm saying is captured in this video. Then I give you time to watch it. I will do the excellence in classroom, but I will go beyond classroom and do my research and do my network and go for training to build myself. In beyond classroom. So please, these are some factors that contribute to our affect research, and I'll just keep all of those slides and I'll go to the last or second to the last. I'm taking time. Some granting bodies and organizations are listed here. The first thing you should know is start from home. Charity begins at home. But I mentioned IBRO. It's a big problem, but you mentioned IBRO. IBRO is a small grant for starting. For people who want to start into a bigger grant. Start from there. Start from there. When my IBRO first, but you see the rigor of winning a grant. Then when you hear grants, you will respect. Just try one IBRO first. Try one WHO first. Try one local one first. If the dean office has a grant, even though it's 800,000, apply for it and see how it goes. These are the final remarks. We need government to play a role, but government alone cannot do it. You need industry to play a role. President Hussein mentioned industry and academic collaboration. Yes, very fine. The role of the academia, you and I, and technology incubation centers have their roles. This is a technology incubation center in the US. They call it Bioscience Center, Federal Lab. Inventors will invent and put it on the shelf. Investors will come and look at what inventors are put on the shelf. They will not decide they are scaling it up. If investors come to university today or come to your university, will they have something from you to scale up? A researcher in academia produces invention. A businessman produces investments. So when investment needs invention, there's an industrial scaling up. And that's where the millions are. You can live in a year without using your salary. You can travel 10 countries without getting any kind of salary up. By the grace of God, so we travel without spending our salary. You know? I've actually got this video there. I'm going to skip it. So the last thing in conclusion is the just caution. I like to always emphasize demand and your communication be justified. Don't formulate. If you are any religion, your religion also affects your integrity science. The whole of integrity of science, scientific integrity. Don't bend it. That's the just caution. Another component of just caution is that it's a systemic thing. You don't blame one individual. So you are weak, you cannot be trained. No. Let the system produce the training. People will key into it. At the departmental level, produce training to enhance your staff capacity. At the faculty level, produce training that will enhance your staff capacity. Don't run administration. You are just saying something, you are just putting up and down, like up and down, up and down, up and down. 1 year will pass, 2 years will pass. You are not impacted anybody. Exam officer, timetable. It's more than that. Leadership is more than timetable and exam officer and presentation of results. Train people, build them, change the phase of their career progression. And that's what leadership is about. Thank you very much for listening.
A round of applause for Professor Yaro. Thank you so much. I'm sure you know if you leave him all day, he's so passionate about this subject matter. This is his area of passion currently. The last time I had an interface with him was at the Recruit Conference. It was still on the same subject matter. Thank you so much, Prof. We appreciate you. I told Dr. Odozi he may not have the luxury of time that Prof had. So, it's 7 minutes from now. That grace has ended. It's 7 minutes now. So each presenter please take 7 minutes. All right. So let's welcome Dr. Odozi for his presentation. 7 minutes.
Thank you very much. But permitted to stand on the STT protocol. Outside of that, I want to recommend my PhD supervisor, my mentor for life, and after life, Professor O.I. Ajayi, seated. Today, I will be talking on the perspective of students on artificial intelligence in biomedical science. This is by a photographer to Dozie and in praise to Dozie. I'm on the Department of Medical Lab Science. Background. Artificial intelligence, AI, is an established transformative tool in biomedical science with the role of diagnosis, research, and healthcare delivery. Effective healthcare delivery with emphasis. A. The aim of the study was to determine the perspective of students on artificial intelligence in biomedical sciences. Our mentor used a structured questionnaire, and it was administered to 200 undergraduate students and 200 undergraduate biomedical science students and 100 non-biomedical science students. The survey was centered on demographics, knowledge of artificial intelligence, uses race, and further future challenges. Results. We discovered that the analysis showed that 82.4% of students showed basic knowledge of AI concept when compared to the control survey for the general population, less than 0.05, while 17.8% demonstrated proficient knowledge on the applicability of AI in biomedical sciences. And this was significantly higher when compared to the general group, the non-biomedical scientist group. 60% of students with previous knowledge of AI-related courses were more willing to adopt AI tools compared to 40% of students without exposure. Consideration with reference to ethical consideration and the challenges that AI poses to jobs. But in essence, AI does not need to, it's not taking our job, but it's creating more jobs for the future. More intelligent jobs precisely. In conclusion, the association between exposure to artificial intelligence and willingness to adopt is suggest that organized training might enhance confidence in the use of artificial intelligence. Conversely, the negative perception might influence acceptability, pointing the need for proper ethic-focused education as the enlightenment. The students exhibited impressive interest and positive perspective of AI in biomedical science, although reasonable challenges and gaps in terms of knowledge, infrastructure, and our geopolitical placement actually affected their perception. And that will be, thank you very much for your kind attention.
So much, Dr. Gozi. We quickly take the next presentation from Dr. Adeyemi. Is he around?
Good afternoon. My name is Elaus Arema from the Department of Medical and Computer Science, Western University, and I'm here to present a proposal analysis. Cytological evaluation of spiritual samples among weathers in the city. First of all, introduction. Weather is important in construction and many other things, but it exposes workers to dangerous fumes. These fumes contain metals like iron, chromium, nickel, and manganese, which can enter the lungs when inhaled. Long-term exposure to welding fumes has shown that it is very dangerous to welders. Sputum cytology is a simple, inexpensive method that allows to detect abnormal cells. The main aim of this research was to examine sputum samples from welders and compare them with non-welders. We wanted to detect any abnormal or precancerous changes in their respiratory system. Methodology. We examined 200 samples, 150 from welders and 50 from non-welders. Participants were aged 10 and above. Sputum was collected in the room for 3 consecutive days and very sterile, and we used 2 states. Part state was used to check for abnormality in the cell, while preparation was used to check for iron contained in sputum of these welders, because as bound to inhale iron particles. The results. We found out that 62% of these samples had normal cells, 16% showed inflammation, while 10% showed abnormal mechanical spread, which indicates early precancerous stages. The preparation boosting, 22% of the samples were positive for iron pigments. This means metallic particles are accumulated in the lungs of these welders. We also observed that longer years of exposure to these metallic fumes means longer years of exposure to this increase the chance of abnormalities in their response discussion. Welding fumes cause inflammation in the lungs. Some welders already show any cellular changes that should not be ignored. Iron particles found were present in many welders, and those not found were mostly in control room. These are based on different research in Nigeria and other countries. I will conclude by saying welders in this city are at a real risk of long-term respiratory disease. Even though many appear early, their cells show early warning signs. So early detection and prevention are necessary. I will recommend that regular medical screening, especially for sputum cytology for welders, should be done. Safety training and use of protective equipment. Government and industry regulations to ensure safety standards. Also, sensitization programs should be done also. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Dr. Adeyemi. We want to appreciate every one of us for being a part of the day one of the second international conference or an annual general meeting of the Association of University Academic Medical Laboratory Scientists. First, I'd like to apologize that we started way behind schedule, and also to thank you for your patience, especially our online participants, everyone who stood with us here on site to be a part of this conference. We are gradually coming to the end of this conference. Let me just get a bit of some clearance from the LSC chairman, and then we'll be closing the conference. The national president with us. Are we ready for the inauguration of the UNIBEM ESCO? Prof? Okay, said yes. Okay, so we will have the inauguration of the University of Benin branch ESCO of AUAMLS. That will be done by none other than the national president. Professor Olani will be handling that as soon as they are ready. All right, I just got a directive now that the inauguration of the UNIBEM branch of AUAMLS will be done tomorrow. We want to thank you especially for being a part of day one of this conference. I understand you have a platform where communications are disseminated. So the venue for tomorrow's conference will be announced on that platform. All right, if it is here, you will know. If it is some other place within the university community, it will also be communicated accordingly. Let me invite the LOC chairman to give us a closing remarks before we go. Professor Adejumo.
The VC of University of Benin and the entire management, the President, AUMLS, the keynote speaker, all the team presenters, and my fellow participants. I thank all of you for your time, for taking this time to be with us since the beginning of this conference today. We hope that you still be with us tomorrow when we are continuing with the conference. On behalf of the LOC, I want to thank you for today's activities, and by the grace of God tomorrow, we shall continue. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you so much, Professor Adejumo. Because this is our opening ceremony / preliminary session, we will close with the UNIBEM anthem and then the national pledge. Please let's rise for the UNIBEM anthem. I pledge to Nigeria, my country, to serve Nigeria, defend Amen. Thank you. We'll take the group photograph outside.